Good morning, student. Today we will continue with the chapter Constitutional Design and we're going to start from the making of the Indian Constitution. Just like South African Constitution, India's Constitution was also drawn up under very difficult circumstances. The making of the Constitution for a huge and diverse country like India was not an easy task. At that time, the people of India were emerging from the status of subject to that of a citizen and freedom from the British rule. The country was born through a partition on the basis of religious differences. This was a traumatic experience for the people of India and Pakistan. At least 10 lakh people were killed on both the sides of the border in partition related violence. There was another problem. The British had left it to the rulers of the princely state to decide whether they wanted to merge with India or with Pakistan or remain independent. The merger of this princely state was a difficult and uncertain task. So, when the constitution was being written, the future of the country did not look as secure as it does today. The makers of the constitution thus had anxieties about the present and the future of the country. Now, what are the decisions that has been taken in the path of the constitution making? Despite all these difficulties, there was one big advantage for the makers of the Indian constitution. Unlike South Africa, they did not have to create a consensus about what a democratic India should look like. Much of this consensus had evolved during the freedom struggle. Our national movement was not merely a struggle against a foreign rule. It was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and politics too. There were sharp differences of opinion with the freedom struggle about the path India should take after independence. Such differences exist even today. Yet some basic ideas has come to be accepted by almost everyone. As far back as in 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders drafted a constitution for India. In 1931, the resolution at the Karachi session of the Indian National Congress dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like. So both these documents are committed to the inclusion of universal adult franchise for India, right to freedom and equality, and to protecting the rights of minorities in the constitution of the independent India. Thus, some basic values were accepted by all readers much before the Constituent Assembly met to deliberate on the Constitution. The familiarity with political institution of colonial rule also helped develop an agreement over the institutional design. The British rule had given voting rights not only to a few persons. On the basis, the British had introduced very weak legislature. Elections were held in 1937 to provincial legislature and ministers all over British India. These were not fully democratic government. Thus, the new thing had to become. But the experience gained by Indians in the working of the legislative institution proved to be very useful for the country in setting up its own institution and working in them. That is why the Indian Constitution adopted many institutional details and procedures from colonial rules and laws like the Government of India Act of 1935. Years of thinking and deliberation on the framework of the Constitution had another benefit. Our leaders gained confidence to learn from other countries, but on our own terms. Many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and the Bill of Rights in the USA. The Socialist Revolution in Russia had inspired many Indians to think of shaping a system based on social and economic equality. Yet they were not simply imitating but what others had done. At each step, they were questioning whether these things suited to India or not. All these factors contributed to the making of the Constitution. Now we will read about the Constituent Assembly, who then were the makers of the Indian Constitution. Who are the main makers of the Indian Constituent Assembly? The drafting of the document called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly. Election to the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946. Its first meeting was held in December 1946. Soon after, the country was divided into India and Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly was also divided into the Constituent Assembly of India and that of Pakistan for a separate state. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 November 1949, but it came into effect on 26 January 1950. To mark this day, we celebrate January 26 as our Republic Day. Why should we accept the Constitution made by the Assembly more than 6 decades ago? We have already noted one reason above, that the Constitution does not reflect the views of its member alone. It expresses the broad consensus of its time. Many countries of the world have had to rewrite their constitution afresh because the basic rules were not acceptable to all major social groups or political parties. In some other countries also, the constitution exists as a mere piece of paper. No one actually follows it. The experience of our constitution is quite different. Over the last half a century, several groups have questioned some provision of the constitution, but no large social group or political party has ever questioned the legitimacy of the constitution itself. This is an unusual achievement for any constitution. The second reason for accepting the constitution is that the Constituent Assembly represented the people of India. There was no universal adult franchise at that time, so the Constituent Assembly could not have been chosen directly by all the people of India. It was elected mainly by the members of the existing provincial legislature that are mentioned. This ensured a fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country. The assembly was dominated by the Indian National Congress, the party that led India's freedom struggle. But the Congress itself included a variety of political groups and opinions. The assembly had many members who did not agree with the Congress. In social terms also, the assembly represented members from different language groups, caste, class, and religions and occupation. Even if the Constituent Assembly was elected by universal adult franchise, its composition would not have been very difficult. Finally, the manner in which the Constituent Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution. The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open, and consensual manner. First, some basic principles were decided and agreed upon. Then a drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussions took place on the draft constitution, clause by clause. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. The members deliberated for 114 days, spread out 3 years. Every document presented and every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly has been recorded and preserved. These are called Constituent Assembly debates. When printed, these debates are 12 bulky volumes. These debates provide the rationale behind every provision of the Constitution. These are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution. Now, what are the guiding values of the Indian Constitutions? We will study the exact provision of the Constitution on different subjects. At this stage, we will begin by understanding the overall philosophy of what our Constitution is all about. We can do this by two ways. We can understand it by reading the views of some of our major leaders on our Constitution, but it is equally important to read what the Constitution says about its own philosophy. This is what the preamble to the Constitution does. The dream and the promise. Some of you have noticed a name missing from the sketches of the makers of the Constitution, Mahatma Gandhi. He was not a member of the Constituent Assembly, yet there are many members who followed his vision. Years ago, writing in his magazine Young India in 1931, he had spelt of what he called the Constitution to do. This dream of an India that has eliminated inequality was shared by Dr. Ambedkar also, who played a key role in the making of the Constitution. But he had a different understanding of how inequalities could be removed. He often bitterly criticized Mahatma Gandhi and his vision. In his concluding speech to the Constituent Assembly, stated his anxiety very clearly. Finally, to Jawaharlal Nehru giving his famous speech to the Constituent Assembly as a stroke of midnight on 15th of August 1947 when India get freedom. So, we will read about the philosophy of the Constitution, the values that inspired and guided the freedom struggle and were in turn nurtured by it formed the foundation of independent democratic India. These values are embedded in the preamble of the Indian Constitution also. They guide all the articles of the Indian Constitution. The Constitution begins with a short statement of its basic values. This is called the preamble to the Constitution. Taking inspiration from American model, most countries in the contemporary world have chosen to begin their constitution with a preamble. So we are having also a preamble of the Constitution. So the preamble of our Constitution is very carefully and understand the meaning of each of its key words. The preamble of the Constitution reads like a poem on democracy. It contains the philosophy on which the entire Constitution has been built. And it starts with the line, "We the people of India." That means it is a democratic rule. It provides a standard to examine and evaluate any law and action of government to find out whether it is good or bad. It is the soul of the Indian Constitution. So it envisages something like sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. What does sovereign means? That people have supreme right to make decision on internal as well as external matters. Socialist means wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by society. There should not be difference of rich and poor. Secular means citizens have complete freedom to follow any religion. There will be no state or official religion. Democratic means a form of government where people enjoy equal political rights. Then, republic means the head of the state is an elected person and not a hereditary position. Justice means citizen cannot be discriminated on the ground of caste, religion and gender. Liberty means there are no unreasonable restriction on the citizen in what they think, how they wish to express their thought and the way they wish to follow their thoughts in action. That means they will enjoy freedom. Equality means all are equal before the law. And fraternity means all of us should behave as we are members of the same family. No one should treat a fellow citizen as inferior. So we have learned these things from the preamble of the Constitution. Now, the institutional design. A constitution is not merely a statement of values and philosophy. A constitution is mainly about embodying these values into institutional arrangement. Much of the document called Constitution of India is about this arrangement. It is a very long and detailed document. Therefore, it needs to be amended quite regularly to keep it updated. Those who crafted the Indian Constitution left and felt that it has to be in accordance with people's aspiration and changes in society. They did not see it as a sacred, static and unalterable law. See, it is not unalterable. It is not a static, it is a dynamic. So they made provision to incorporate changes from time to time with amendments. So these changes are called constitutional amendments. The Constitution describes the institutional arrangement in a very legal language. The Constitution, for the first time, it can be quite difficult to understand. The basic institutional design is not very difficult to understand. Like any constitution, the Indian Constitution lays out a procedure for choosing person to govern the country. It defines who will have how much power to take any decision. And it puts limit to what the government can do by providing some rights to the citizen that cannot be violated. The remaining portion of this book, that the 3 chapters in this books are about this 3 aspects of the working of the Indian Constitution that we're going to read in the next classes. So we have completed the chapter of constitutional design. Hope you have understand. In the next class, I am going to provide you with some notes from the constitutional design chapter. Thanking you, students.